Hello! If you're wondering what life would be like if your mind was in total harmony, balanced and peaceful, then you are in the right place. Because in this video, we're going to explore this possibility from a peculiar perspective. We're going to look at what people say when they come back from a near-death experience. And if you would like to experience the joy of having a mind which is balanced and peaceful, don't forget to get my free video course on how to free yourself from worry and overthinking and harmonize your mind. The link to this free course is in the pinned comment below this video. My name is Paola and I help awakening individuals to get out of their mind and into their heart so that they can align to their true self, their purpose and their joy. And if you would like to be notified when I make a new video, then don't forget to subscribe to this channel and also click the bell button. I have been intrigued lately by what people say when they come back from a near-death experience. In this video, I'm going to talk about the implications of what these people say, both from the metaphysical perspective and from the physical perspective. In other words, I believe there are implications for us and for our life, whether it is true that there is life after death, or whether these phenomena are just due to something that happens in the biochemistry of our brain just before death. What I'm interested in is applying what we learn from these stories to our life, for our joy, for our balance, and for our well-being. And at the end of the video, I will also look at the metaphysical implications for those of you who may be interested. One of the things that really intrigues me is that many people who go through a near-death experience describe a sensation of relief from pain and fear, as if they were no longer even capable of perceiving pain or fear. They also describe a light, as well as an overwhelming feeling of love and support all around them. They feel loved, supported and safe, and they feel a natural feeling of love emerging from their heart and overflowing from their heart and being directed to everything that surrounds them. In other words, they feel immersed in a light that feels like love, and they are also aware of themselves as the source of this love. They also describe that they feel peace at the thought of dying, absolute joy and peace. Of course, human language is limited in describing such experiences, and many of these people say that there are no words to describe the depth of what they were feeling. They also often say that when they come back into the body, sometimes after being told that it wasn't their time yet, they feel almost a disappointment and the sensation of being constrained within a body which feels too narrow for the big, vast being that they experience themselves to actually be. This is so fascinating, and it's very interesting that one person who also happened to be a neuroscientist described the sensation of being completely free from fear and pain as if she no longer had a reptilian brain. As you may know, this is the most ancient part of our brain, the part that is responsible for our physical survival and our basic instincts. It is the part that is activated when our life is in danger, when we need to run from fire or a predator, for example. And when this happens, our sympathetic nervous system gets activated and all our senses are heightened, adrenaline gets pumped into the bloodstream and we become stronger, able to run faster, to react faster in order to save our life. But when the danger is gone, we then come back to normal and our parasympathetic nervous system becomes active. This is when we are calm, when our breathing becomes deeper, when we can do activities like sleeping or digesting, when we can be peaceful and able to think clearly. And this parasympathetic state is actually supposed to be our default way of being. The problem, though, is that because of stress and trauma, for most of humanity, the reptilian brain is active a lot of the time when it should not be, even when our life is actually not in danger. In other words, we often feel unsafe and we experience a constant underlying level of fear, stress, and worry. But it's not the reptilian brain per se which is the problem. In fact, the reptilian brain is necessary to keep us alive. The problem is actually our ego mind, which is the part of our mind that wants to protect us from pain and that keeps us in fear and worry about anything bad that can happen to us, based on past traumas and past pain. And interestingly, it seems to me that the ego mind has actually hijacked the reptilian brain. But rather than being activated by real dangerous situations, it is activated by anything that reminds us of past pain or trauma. This trauma is usually about experiences that made us feel unsafe in the past when we felt separate from love. For example, when we felt judged or not appreciated or not loved unconditionally as a child. And because the ego uses the reptilian brain, it makes us feel exactly as if our life was in danger. This is why the ego is tricky to overcome, because when it's active, it feels as if it's a matter of life or death. In other words, it has a very tight grip on us. We cannot think clearly, we have adrenaline running through our system, we feel anxious, and we go into worry and fear. But because the perceived danger never stops, and because many circumstances remind us of past traumas, we stay in a constant cycle of fear and worry. However, there is a way out of this, and the way is awakening. Awakening to the truth of who you truly are. The awakening path is exactly about transcending the ego mind and freeing ourselves from this cycle of worry and pain. And we can find insights and inspiration from the stories of people who went through near-death experiences. And what's interesting about these stories is that it's as if these people, the reptilian brain in these people was gone and their ego was gone. They all felt a sense of peace and a lack of pain, a lack of fear, together with an overwhelming feeling of love. They felt safe because they felt immersed in love. And because they were aware that they themselves were love, they had a sense of safety, therefore they did not require the reptilian brain or the ego mind. So what we can conclude from these stories is that if we know deep down that we are love in essence and that we are already immersed in love and safe, even beyond what this reality appears actually to be, then we can find our safety in the love that we are, and we no longer need the ego minds. In other words, we have a choice. Either we live in order to feel safe and to try and protect us from pain, and as a result of past traumas, and in this case we definitely need the ego mind to try and protect us, or we live in order to be our authentic selves, discover who we truly are, shine our light. And we can do so when we recognize that we actually are already safe because we are love. And the ego mind becomes really redundant. And we can enjoy the gift of a fully harmonized mind. A mind which is peaceful and clear and ready to assist us rather than keeping us in pain and fear. And now for the metaphysical interpretation of these stories. Let's say that it's true that what these people recall is actually what happens when we leave our body. According to these stories, we become free from the constraint of the physical body and free from the reptilian brain and the ego mind because we no longer need either. The reptilian brain was there only to ensure our physical survival. And of course, it would dissolve upon death because we are actually immortal beings. The ego mind is also dissolved Because the veil of illusion that we experience in this place, in this reality, is gone. And we recognize that everything, including ourselves, is love. So we no longer need to feel as if we need protection. The awakening path is truly about lifting the veil of illusion, the illusion of death, and the illusion of separation from love, and recognizing that indeed we are and we've always been an eternal being of love, safe, immersed in love. Now, I would love to hear from you. What are your thoughts about what I shared? Write your comment below and let me know your insights, your experiences, and ask questions if you like, so we can all have a discussion and learn from each other. And don't forget to access my free video training on how to free yourself from worry and overthinking and harmonize your mind. You can see the link in the pinned comment below. Thank you so much for watching, and I'm sending you so much love and many blessings. Bye-bye.